I don't own the rights to this music. And yes, narcissistic people can love. And I know, listen, hear me out. Don't come for me in my comment section. Please just don't. Listen, a sister don't need it right now, okay? Yes, narcissistic people can love. And I'm going to tell you how. We're going to put a reverse on this. Narcissistic people can't love. Yes, they can. They were born to love. They were programmed to turn out to be who they are. They were not programmed to be crazy. They were not programmed. Now, if they got programmed, if they were born handicapped, that's a whole nother level. That's a whole nother case. But when you become mentally disturbed and so distracted and hyper and all that other stuff, some of that stuff is generational cycles. Some of that stuff is peer pressure. Some of that stuff comes from traumas of secrets that we had to shut up in our childhood and don't tell what we seen or don't tell what was done to us. We didn't have a voice. So why would you not be traumatized being traumatized? Make it make sense, because it makes a lot of sense. The only sense of the matter is we as a people that have not healed, still walking around here thinking that the same old game that they play is okay. See, it was okay then. It's not okay now, because it's a lot of damage done now for all of us. None of us is the same. Like I always tell y'all, broken. Once you're broken, you will never be pure at heart again. But just as well as people exercise to be narcissistic, excuse me, I'm spitting, I had food in my mouth. Just as well as people exercising to be narcissistic, people can exercise being empathic as well. So if you can train your brain to be evil, you can train your brain to be empathic. Be an empath. Give empathy. Care love. Be there for others. You ain't got to know the other. Just be there. See, but for so long, the world been going to the evil. Evil been a disguise for a long time. A lot of stuff is coming to the surface now. And ain't nobody new now ain't backing down. I'm definitely not backing down, because I'm going to help y'all. Because I done been through all of it. Everything Satan could bring to a human on earth, I done been through it all. I didn't think I would lose a child, but I did. That's the only thing I was getting away with, losing a child. Out of all the heartache. My mother was a disappointment. She was disappointing. She just disappointed me. She was a disappointment. Top notch. I'm not taking that back. I mean what I'm saying to y'all. My relationships with narcissistic people as myself, because I grew up around nothing but narcissistic people. And the one that made that comment to me in my comment session, you was like I was narcissistic. I'm not narcissistic. I have narcissistic traits because I grew up around narcissistic people. So I'm going to take on the traits. That don't mean I have to use the traits because I got the traits. But when I did use my traits, because traits was thrown at me, like I didn't understand what was being thrown at me. That's why I can understand narcissistic people, because I was raised around them all my life. And I'm not going to lie on them, but I know how they operate because I lived around the operation. The man was not the first man a man was not the first one showed me abuse. And that's what I'm trying to say. But narcissistic people, they have a different love language. Even though I was in a narcissistic family, I just didn't become narcissistic. I could have easily. But I didn't. And when you are raised around a narcissistic family, you know how they act. You know what hurts them, what don't hurt them. You know what's their triggers. You know what ain't their triggers. And their triggers is, they're very sensitive to no. They're very sensitive to not having control. They're very sensitive to decision making. They're very sensitive to communication. You can't ask the narcissistic person a whole lot of questions, especially deep questions that they don't really have the answer for, or they do have the answer for it, but they're too embarrassed to tell you. You can't rush a narcissistic person through all these things like we can be. That's why super empaths understand narcissistic people. Now, I tell my friend Double O, I be like, I'm a covert empath, or I'm a pop-up empath. You know, I say things like that because I have the traits of those narcissistic people, but I use it in an empathic way to the narcissistic person. That's what super empaths are really about. Ain't nobody explain it this way, but I'm going to explain it to you. So when y'all rebellious against your narcissistic partner, guess what? That's their master. They master that. So if you ain't a master at what they master, then guess what? Y'all will never work. Y'all relationship will be many every time. And I know this from experience. I did 3 long-term relationships with 3 narcs. My kid's father, he was just a psycho. His anger was through the roof, but it didn't bother me because I knew how to not let it overtake me. Only when I was, tired of him just trying to be so controlling and he not giving me the ability to, be free. That's when my rebellion started kicking in, because I knew what I was working with. If I never knew what I was working with, I would have never went up against it. And that's what a lot of y'all are doing. Y'all are going up against not knowing what you're working with. So when you pick this bad boy, you got to understand what this bad boy about. When you pick this bad girl, you got to understand what this bad girl about. And I'm calling bad boys and bad girls women or men. But I'm just speaking. This is how I talk. So please keep up with me. And I'm trying to put a whole lot in that out here before 10 minutes, because I'm not trying to hit 10 minutes, over 10 minutes. But like, if they throw temper tantrums, let them roll with it. Long they ain't throwing them and hitting you, then yeah, if they start hitting you, then I'm gonna just tell you to go ahead and let that one go, because now that one is getting to the part where they're gonna get abusive. And believe me, when they start tasting abuse, like physical abuse, they're gonna use it, and they're just gonna get worse and worse and worse. But I'm just trying to tell y'all, because y'all can say, I'm done with him, I'm over him, I'm over her. No, you're not. Because narcissistic abuse is hard to detach from it, especially when you are vulnerable yourself and you don't know how strong they are. A lot of narcissistic people are strong at the things they play. They play games. They play very dangerous spiritual games. But if you don't know how to handle them, you will never survive with them. You will always have a heartbreak. You cry a lot. That's a no-no for a narcissistic person. Don't be crying in front of them people, man. You better hold your own. You better stand up, hold your grounds with them. And when you're ready to cry, when they leave, or however they get ready to leave or walk out the house, wherever they want to do, because it's something they want to do when they bring raw arguments like that. But if you got the time to waste, and you got the nerves, and you got the strong staying power to deal with it, go for it. Go for it, because you're going to go back to them. Don't think you can fool me with it, because I'd have been there. But what I'm saying is, I did 3 long-term relationships with narcissistic. When they get comfortable with you, believe me, they're comfortable. They'll stop cheating. They'll stop going through. They ain't going to stop arguing too much until you get them. You got to go through the thick and thin in the beginning with them if you want them. But once they know you, and you can get to the point where they want to change for you, because you can't bring up stuff they tell you. Even though they bring up stuff you told them, they are testers. They are testers. They test on a regular, because they're fragile. They're fragile from someone that loved them so deeply and dearly. I mean, they're fragile from someone that's supposed to have loved them so deeply and dearly. They let them down, so everybody in this whole entire world gonna let them down. Sometimes they even think God let them down. They got a mindset of fear. And their fear come with a basket full of all the evil: rejection, abandonment, rebellious, anger, jealousy, lies, deceit, because they had to grow from it. They had to grow from it. And you got to understand, when you hear people talk, and I recommend Leon R. Walker Jr. to go listen to. I recommend him on the top of the charts, because he's telling y'all the deep, raw truth. It might sound petty. It might sound pathetic. It might sound like it's a game, but it's really not. It's a real deep soul tie that'll make you have all types of emotions. Suicide, bitterness, angerness. You can feel all types of emotions. But until then, I love y'all. I'll be back.